Crossing the border from Tijuana to the US could cost you $5,000 for one simple mistake. So keep watching to learn how to avoid this. If you watched my video on driving back and forth across the border, you may know that there are essentially three types of passes that you can get to cross the border. So the first are the general lanes. This is where anyone with a passport is going to go. The second is the global entry, but by far the most popular for people that cross the border frequently is the Century Pass. Having that pass will cut your wait at the border from 4 or 5 hours or more even, down to 30 minutes to an hour. But if you make a mistake, you could wind up in the wrong lane and the US Customs and Border Protection could handcuff you to a bench, threaten to take your car, and ultimately charge you $5,000 for each person in the car. Recently, Patricia Caro and Bernardo Montenegro of Fontana, California, were crossing back and forth across the border after visiting Mexico. That's when things kind of got out of hand. Bernardo says he got in the wrong lane when trying to cross. They tried to tell a customs officer that they'd gotten in the wrong lane, but that apparently didn't matter. Patricia said she was very scared. She was crying, but again, that didn't really seem to faze anybody.
I was scared. I cried. I was trying for the officers not to see me cry. They were telling him that they wouldn't release our vehicle without us paying $5,000.
They were charged $5,000 for getting in the Century lane instead of the general lane. Not smuggling, not trafficking or something, just picking the wrong lane out of about 35 lanes.
We just got into the wrong lane. That's that. I mean, we didn't do anything else wrong but get into a wrong lane.
So Tijuana has several roundabouts and some very confusing signage that is supposed to get you to the border. So it's not hard to get a little lost when you're trying to come across. And when you get closer to the border, the lanes get separated by big concrete barriers. And to make matters worse, apparently apps like Google Maps will often tell you the fastest route, which of course is the Century lane. Doesn't matter if you have a Century Pass, it's going to route you the fastest lane. So if you get confused, you might follow their guidance and pull right into the wrong lane, and then you are stuck.
Once you're in the lane, you can't get out.
Remember, this isn't some shakedown by corrupt Mexican officials. This is the U.S. Customs shaking down U.S. citizens. Now, apparently this has been going on for some time. I found a few different references for this over the last few years. Attorney John Manley here in San Diego says the CBP is on some shaky legal grounds with these fines, and he does not believe they are a statutory violation.
This is happening primarily to U.S. citizens, not to immigrants or anything like that. They basically shackle you to a bench for 2-3 hours. They say, yep, we're going to take your car or we're going to fine you $5,000. For what amounts to being in the wrong lane of traffic. As far as I'm concerned, there's no statutory violation. There's no statute that covers the Century Pass.
Now, the CBP is claiming this falls under 19 U.S.C. 1431, but that is essentially failing to report a vehicle. But of course, you are there at the border, reporting in that you are crossing the border while sitting in your vehicle. So, kind of sounds like BS to me, but I'm not an attorney. Nor am I with the Border Patrol. They aren't trying to sneak in the border. They simply picked an incorrect lane, and due to the way it's constructed, you wind up at a point of no return. Mr. Manley does say that you can contest this fine. One piece of advice he gives is if this happens to you, the agent will often give you what is called a petition for remission and urge you to fill that out right then and there. But you don't want to do that. He said, of course, after being handcuffed and held for 3 or 4 hours and threatened with forfeiture of your car, you're ready to just get out of there and you will sign just about anything. Don't do that. According to him, you have 60 days in which to complete that form. And it's best to try to just get out of there with paying as little as you can, and then take your time to fill out the form when you have a clearer and more level head, and then contest the matter. Bernardo and Patricia did appeal that decision, and Customs did forgive 90% of the penalty. So, I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think Customs is being a little overzealous here? Has this ever happened to you? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to know more about what it's like to drive back and forth across the border, why not check out my video right there? I think you get some good information about it. If you'd like to know what it's like to just walk across the border, which is much easier, check out this video right here. And in the meantime, until we talk again, keep on trekking.